I love agriculture. I love being outside. I love watching the plants grow. My great-grandfather came to America in 1906, and the first place he got a job on was the Goldtop Ranch, is where I'm farming today. He didn't buy the ranch, he just worked on it. This ranch came up for sale, so my great-grandfather loaned my grandfather the money to buy the Goldtop Ranch. My grandfather farmed it from 1948 to 1985, and then my dad farmed it from 1985 to 2005, and then I started farming January 1st, 2006. That's a long time for the same piece of ground, and to still have it. You get very passionate and very possessive about what's yours and your family's being there for such a long time. You grow accustomed to that being part of your life and part of your history and your heritage. Well, my very first memory of farming was when I was 8 years old and I started chopping cotton. And my dad had come home the night before and told me I was going to chop cotton. It was summer break, and he had bought 3 hoes, and I went outside and put my name on my hoe and my sister's name on her hoe, and she wasn't as excited as I was. So the next morning we went out and we chopped cotton for 4 hours, and it was the longest 4 hours of my entire life. Family is very important to me. I got married at a young age. My wife and I were both teenagers and in love, and we had a family quick. We have a 30-year-old, a 29-year-old, a 28-year-old, and a 26-year-old, and it seemed like it happened overnight. My wife has always been my biggest supporter. She took care of our kids when I was working hard. When the kids started school, she had her own career. We work side by side together now. We farm, and I manage a shopping center that I also own in Lemoore. She does all the paperwork, takes care of paying all the bills, makes sure everything's in order for me so I don't have to deal with that. She is always promoting me to do other things. She promoted me to run for the school board and be a better person. She also promoted me to run for the Kings County Board of Supervisors, and because she felt I could do more in my life than just work out in the field by myself. I'm able to take my passion for farming and share it with the rest of the world, and our issues and problems we have here, make the rest of the world understand what we have going on. Being a supervisor in an ag community and being a farmer is not that hard, because I understand the concerns and the needs of the citizens that live here, because I'm living it my life as well. So, you know, when it comes to issues such as we have an issue right now in our county called high-speed rail, and it was going to take people's farm grounds, take people's houses, and I understand what it feels like to have someone take your ground and tell you, I'm going to take your ground, there's nothing you can do about it. The farming size right now is 185 acres. It was 500 acres, and a local developer came out and decided he needed to have part of it for his operation. So we lost a lawsuit and lost part of the ground. Being a supervisor, I'm able to be the voice to those people to the next level of government. So I'm able to understand their situation, understand their needs, and take it to the legislature, take it to Congress, take it to the Senate, take it to the Assembly, and make people understand the importance of having your own home that's been in the family for 4 generations, because that's my life as it is today. We put the whole ranch in walnut trees, and right now the youngest walnut tree is 5 years old, and the oldest walnut tree is 48 years old. What changed me the most was when I was a younger kid, we chopped cotton, we chopped weeds. Monsanto came up with Roundup, and we sprayed everything. And by the time I was about 21 years old, they nicknamed me Chernobyl, because I could kill anything. Also, the technology and the equipment, you know, the first tractor I drove, you know, was very hard to steer. It bounced, it was noisy, the seat was uncomfortable. And nowadays the tractors drive themselves. They have stereo. It's run with your fingertip. Before you had to manually control the tractor. And to me, that's a big improvement over those 42 years. My whole life has always been about farming, but in farming you have to do everything from plumbing to electrical to mechanical to painting to welding, engineering. So you just find out something you're good at, and throughout the years I always tried something different. I was always looking for something to do. I worked for my dad, I worked for my grandfather, but there were times in my life that I needed to do something on my own. So there was a time for 22 years I drove 18-wheeler, and I hauled fertilizer for the neighbors, I hauled walnuts, I hauled almonds, I hauled corn. Even though I enjoyed working for the farm, it was nice to have my own day to be in control of. And as long as my work was finished on a ranch, I was able to do so. I have a son. One question people always ask me is, do you see your son following in your footsteps? And I tell him, I say, you know, it's up to him to decide that. It's not for me to tell him what to do. I know if I look back It doesn't seem like I had a choice whether I wanted to farm or not, but it didn't matter because that's what I wanted to do. I want him to have that choice. So he has chosen a different career path. He understands how the farm works. He can come in at any time if something happened to me and pick it up and take over where I left off. My 3 daughters as well. They all understand. They all know how to change water. They all know how to drive tractor. They all understand the importance of the farm to our family and our heritage. But 185 acres is not enough ground to have any more family there than what we have already. My dad didn't work on the farm as a young kid. My dad worked in a body shop. And all his life he talked about cars. Well, my dad and I went together and we bought a 57 Chevy and we drove it home, and I had it for about a year. And for Christmas, my dad bought me a sander and a gallon of primer. And he says, "You need to paint that car." So we took the car apart, and it took a year, and I painted it. And when I got done painting that car, I took it to a car show. I drove in the gate, and some guy came up to me and asked me if I painted that car, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm going to buy a Corvette. I'm going to have you paint it." I painted probably about 17 or 18 Corvettes in a 10-year period from 1997 to 2007. And my dad had a Corvette. He says, "If you can paint my Corvette as good as you do your car, I'll help you buy the parts for your car." That car made it on every magazine cover there was in existence at that time. It was on billboards at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. They made a Hot Wheel out of that car. The Corvettes are really cool. I'm still doing them today, and I really enjoy it. It's a good way to be creative and express your talents. When you have a passion, it's not hard work. When you're a supervisor or a school board member, you do a lot of events in the evening. It takes you away from home. I really appreciate those Friday and Saturday evenings where I'm at home and I have to go out and irrigate and I'm in the middle of my field. I have my dogs with me and I'm out changing the water. The sun is just getting ready to go down. It's a wonderful feeling. It's very, very smooth, very comfortable. It just makes you feel really good inside to be out on your own ground, watching your trees grow and not having the pressures of the outside world coming down on top of you. Getting the award for me is very honorable. I sometimes feel I'm not worthy of it. I just turned 50 years old. The award was named the Jack Stone Agriculture of the Year Award. And I got to meet Jack Stone when I was 15 years old. My grandfather and him were friends. They were in a sheriff's posse together. I looked up to him. He was a great farmer, and I always had respect for him. And to be in that category, I'm very, very honored.